Leave it the beaver style.
Okay, this is Mary Komorowski, and today is August 31st, 2022. I am doing an interview with Eileen Hobbs for the St. Matthew Parish History Project. So first of all, thank you for allowing us to come into your home and chat with you today.
You're always welcome.
Much appreciated. Can you tell us a little bit about your family background? Where did you come from? Where you were baptized and where you went to school? That type of thing?
Yep. I was born and raised in Bayview. My father delivered me on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
And we lived there until we moved to Oak Creek in 1963. So we're coming up on 60 years here. So
Nice.
Wow.
Bayview High School, Marquette Night School, and pretty much jumped around till I got in the Air Guard, and then spent 37 years in there. And that's kind of my story. And then opened an insurance agency, ran that for 30 years. So that's kind of my story.
And your sacraments were like baptism and...
Oh, I did that when I was 21. I was a Lutheran
Ah, okay.
from United Evangelical Lutheran Church in Bayview. My parents were not religious, to the effect of being attached to any church or anything, so I was kind of on my own. And then went through conversion with Father Ryan at Immaculate Conception Church I was 21 at the time. So it was just before we married.
It was months before. Received his First Holy Communion the weekend before our wedding.
Wedding, yeah.
Wow.
Single ceremony that Father Ryan put on.
That's nice.
Yep.
What about you, Eileen? A little bit about your family background?
Born and raised in Bayview. Never lived anywhere else but above my dad's drugstore. He was a pharmacist. We have a very Irish background, and I did belong to Immaculate Conception with Father Ryan, our Irish pastor, and who at the time his sister was principal of the grade school that we attended. So everything was at IC in Bayview. I went to Mercy High School with the Mercy nuns that were also at IC. My sister entered the order and was in the order for many years.
Eileen taught there at IC for
I taught at IC
short stint.
before I got pregnant. And Father Ryan had said, don't you ever let anything interfere with your family. So the day I had to go in and say, guess what, next year. I can't.
And we met at a CYO dance.
At IC,
Of course.
at Immaculate Conception.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, when did you first start to get involved at St. Matthew Parish?
That's kind of another story, because we came out here and it was the middle of nowhere. Al's mother always said they packed a lunch to go out to the farm to see us. Nothing, your house wasn't here. I mean, it was totally different. But when we started parish life, it was at, help me, I just went blank.
St. Stephen's.
St. Stephen's, the old St. Stephen's.
Buddy report.
We didn't know that there was a St. Matthew's out here. We had no idea.
Okay.
And east of us was this parish that had been there forever. So immediately, we had thought of family and children and school, and we joined St. Matthew's.
What year was that?
566, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's your earliest memory at the church, at St. Matthew?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, that is very, very interesting.
It was just a nice, warm place. People were very cordial.
Welcoming.
They welcomed and
Father Bears.
greeting. Father Joe, Father Bears, made us the first. Larry Cant from the parish, he made us the first 2 readers. Lectors, we were called
At the
lectors
time,
at that
you know,
time.
with so many changes,
When the new program
when
came
we
in.
went
So,
in,
You mean Vatican II?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
so we witnessed the turning around of the altar and explaining that to the little ones, and you know, every one of those steps we were a part of over there.
Yes.
So you were the first lectors
Yes.
at St. Matthew's, lay lectors.
Yeah, Larry Cant and
Yeah,
I.
Larry King.
Larry Cant.
I remember him.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
a hoot.
absolutely.
Yes.
I
He was
remember
a
him.
hoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Larry was Mr. St. Matthews.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that kind of brought us into the people that we were
Okay.
first involved with. Yeah.
And it wasn't like we knew a whole lot of people over there. It was just, okay, this is closer, this is with the, I like said, with the school and everything, it seemed like a natural thing to be doing.
Can I
Yeah,
say
go ahead.
something?
Sure.
I do remember Larry Cant. I was born in '61, so I've been there forever. And Larry Cant always stood at the east side of the building, back where I think where the baptismal fencing was. And I do remember him sitting back there singing, and
Yeah.
I was just probably 2 or 3 years old.
Really?
Yeah, I
That
absolutely
was-
remember that. That and the pretzel man.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
yes.
usher. You guys remember the pretzel man? The
Oh,
usher?
my
Bag of
goodness.
pretzels?
Well, that was
Yeah.
Mr.
Yep.
Who's over here now? The son.
Yeah.
Eddie.
I never knew
Design-
her name. It was a
Ed
pretzel man to
Syrup.
us.
Ed Sierra?
It was, well, that was his father.
His
Yeah.
father.
Senior.
He had a
Yes.
pocket full of pretzel sticks.
Yes, he
in
did.
his
Yes.
suit coat. And he'd go through the nursery in the back and had
Yep.
kids
Yes, it
fussing
was.
around
And
and
it was
giving
I-
Mr. Sarah.
I got plenty of those pretzel sticks.
Oh, ours-
Absolutely.
That's
Yep.
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours 6'2".
Yeah, I
What
was-
year were you born?
I was born in November 26, 1961.
Oh,
So I was
my
probably 2 or
goodness.
3 years old, and I remember this guy coming around with pretzels.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
sitting in the back.
yeah,
And Larry Kent was back there also.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so that was an early memory. What about a fondest memory?
I think in my case it was the association with Father Don. He was the neatest guy I think I ever knew from there. And he started by having, I can't remember if I was still in the parish council or if it was when I was, what were Mike and I?
Trustees.
Trustees.
Trustees. Oh, okay.
He would have a group in for dinner at
Mm,
the church,
2 or 3 couples.
and it had just started doing the mass in English and not Latin. And he used to tease me about being a convert. I told him, I said, Father, you guys are getting more Lutheran every day. But he let me stay and eat. So
That's good.
yeah, he was a great guy. Great guy.
Very, yes, very great, very close. He was supposed to marry our 2nd child weekend next before he passed away.
Mm,
And I guess on a more humorous note that I recall was Father Bob. Great big, looked like a football player. And when Father Joe went on vacation, he moved the organ from the back, put it up front, and turned the altar around. So when Joe came back, he put the organ in the back and turned the organ back around. And I thought, this is going to happen every year.
When you're on vacation.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny. What about you, Eileen? Do you have a fondest memory?
Oh, so many. And I think with 6 children, there were so many things to remember, serious and cute. And one of the things that was probably most important and precious with me was working with the converts.
The RCIA
The
program.
RCIA program. I think I got more out of the whole program maybe than some of the
Sure.
participants.
I
It's a beautiful program. It's
I know
good.
exactly what
I
you
know.
mean. I'm still doing it,
Good.
so yeah.
Good. Yeah. I think if everything had not, yeah, I would have been too. That was really closest to my heart.
Okay. Do you have any, what are some memorable events in the life of the church, like social events or sacraments, that you recall?
Well, events, we had as you know, several New Year's Eve parties there, and they were really good. Well, it was one really cold night, and we had been there all day decorating, and we were co-chairs for that year's New Year's Eve party, and walked in the door, and we hear all this banging going on, and behind the kitchen were the classrooms that were on the far west end of the building, froze. So we started going up, and the water was running down the hallway. This is about 7 o'clock New Year's Eve, and we're having all these people coming in. And we got a hold of, and I can't recall the name, but a huge steam fitter outfit. They brought 6 guys in there to fix our boiler, so we could have that New Year's Eve party. And they were black as, from being in those boilers. And we had them in, and they sat down and ate with us, because that's when we did an 8 o'clock dinner, and then we did another 11 o'clock before people went home. So that I'll never forget that. We walked in, there's water everywhere, but it all came together. So
Never knew that.
I never heard that story.
No.
That's good.
The outdoor picnics. We used to have an outdoor festival.
Yeah,
with
those
the
were-
tents.
Those
and-
were fun.
Yeah.
Those were fun.
the old hall
Bartending.
The old
No,
hall.
outside. Oh, and the old hall.
with the Indian blankets.
And then little by little, it seemed like that dwindled away. We don't know why, or
Well, they couldn't get anybody to run them after a while. I mean, it was a lot of work and very little income. So
Yeah,
That's
that
a
was
change.
basically it. I mean,
Exactly.
it took a lot of people to volunteer. A lot of
definitely.
volunteers were needed to work it,
Yeah.
and the profit that you got was not worth all the effort.
no.
Yeah, minimal.
And especially if you got any bad weather at all, that was, yeah.
true.
Yep.
True.
Okay. How did your family's involvement, how was your family, your kids and everything, involved in the parish, and how did that change over time?
Well, it was really interesting. I'm going to think of who are still practicing Catholics. We lost one along the way, and so we don't know what she's up to. Lauren is not, she won't come here for Christmas, or he won't come here for Christmas, because they don't believe, so we lost them somewhere. And I was her sponsor, yeah. Sat right through the whole thing with her, and then went off to college and got a whole new education apparently. So, and she's doing well. I mean,
She's a good person, and
but they just don't believe. So,
just,
yeah, one of those. Otherwise, involvement is good. grandkids are going to church and they're doing their thing. And we kind of stayed out of that from you why aren't you going to church and all that kind of.
Yeah, you don't want to try to force them. That usually doesn't work.
They got to come to it on their own. Someday they'll find out there's more than science in the world,
Mhm.
Did they go to the school, your children?
All of them except, well, up to,
No, he's talking grandchildren.
No, I'm talking children.
Right.
yeah, up till we had to close
Oh,
to
7th and 8th.
7th and 8th grade, and I was the president of the parish council when we did that. So 2 of them,
Beth and Rick.
Beth and Rick, went to St. Stephen's
Back to St. Stephen's
to finish their
and graduated
Grade
from
school.
St. Stephen's.
graduating.
And then for the next one, St. Matt's 7th and 8th was open again.
When was that it was closed?
Well,
Well, 61, Beth was born.
Yep.
So 7th grade.
I don't know the ages anymore.
Yeah.
How old is a 7th grader?
Well, she was born in 61?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's right now, she's my age, and I do believe I went to high school with her.
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah, I'm
Just
pretty
like
sure I
you.
did.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
So
I
she
didn't know
is
that at the time.
60.
She's celebrating her 60th birthday, so she would have been 57, 58. I mean, oh geez. Here we go. Questioning what year that was for.
When the 7th and 8th grade was closed.
Okay.
What year would you have been in?
Didn't come here for algebra.
When did you
No,
graduate
I
8th grade?
know.
Okay, so
You are usually.
They didn't say there was going to be
So
any math.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No,
Born in 61.
I think you're like 13 when you get out.
Kindergarten was, well, for me was 4th grade because I was very young. So what's called 5th grade? You're 12, 13, something
Yes.
like that, maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
So it would have been
Yeah.
like 70, mid-70s, probably
Yes.
when that happened.
And the
Okay.
parish was not
Yeah.
supporting the school either. I mean, we didn't have the income, and that's the reason
Was that?
we couldn't pay for teachers.
Okay.
And the teachers we had, I can't tell you at that time how many years we had of no increase in pay. So they were really in a tough spot, and then we, shut it down, which made it tougher for them, I'm sure.
And then what allowed them to open it back up?
I think the increase in the amount of people that were coming to church.
Okay.
So we had a bigger base, and I think finances were. So we're back. Where were we back in? What year? 60?
That at that time was probably a 74-ish.
Yeah, we were probably coming out of something.
Yeah.
And
Trying to
also, Oak
you know,
Creek was
fun-
developing.
Getting all built up.
Yes,
A
definitely,
lot.
definitely.
after that.
And we had a couple of big donors that owned businesses out here for a while. And one of them, I think, she kept running for mayor, Mary Ann.
Oh gosh, yes.
Anyway,
Alice.
Mary Alice.
Yakich.
Really nice people.
Remember
He
the
owns
Yakich?
Sunrise
I know the
Packaging.
name. I know her name, yeah.
Yeah,
She
good
was
people.
Very.
Good
She
people.
was a very great parishioner.
Yeah, that was a major event. And when I was president of the PTA,
Old school.
we had beer at the PTA to get the guys in.
Whose
And then
idea was
when
that?
I needed to get a crowd because there was something coming, we just put a blurb in the bulletin about school uniforms. Oh my God, the place would fill up. And then we wouldn't talk about it.
Well, they didn't want school uniforms, or okay,
There was, you had both sides,
yeah.
because a lot of people didn't want
So it
to.
was just a
For-
heated
for and
topic.
against.
Yeah,
okay.
so that was always my
Well, you
go-to
You
to,
got your attendance.
we got it.
That's crazy. What activities did you focus on in your life at St. Matthew? Now you talked about the PTA. You've talked about Al being a trustee.
Yep.
Other things? that you were involved in?
Actually, in forming the original parish council, we were on that committee that took that first step. The lector thing we talked about, and that was pretty much it. I mean, we were kind of at everything and not necessarily having to run it. So
Did you have a Holy Name Society at that time?
Oh, yes.
we did, and I don't know that there was very many people in it.
I think Larry Camp was president.
Larry was in everything.
Yeah, I think he
Rudy?
was.
Larry Camp.
Rudy? Suchek?
Oh yeah,
Oh, I bet he was too.
Okay.
yeah.
Sure.
And I forgot who. I was in it for about a year. No, that was Knights of Columbus.
No, that was Knights of Columbus with Mr.
Sorry.
Sierra.
Okay.
But it was also a feeling of almost a second home, custodial.
Mhm.
Something needed painting, you know, garbage needed to be taken out or something. They'd call Hobbs.
Well, there was a core group, you know, that did those things.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be your committee or anything, you know, like grounds if they needed to.
Still is a core group.
Yeah.
There still is.
Yeah, just.
What about you, Eileen?
Oh.
You mentioned RCIA.
I think also probably more involved with the kids all those years. Scouting. Okay. What was the CYO, the young adults, retreats for confirmation.
There's some stories there too.
Yes, there is. That, and it was just kind of a natural thing
Sure.
because of, you know, if you do it for one, you do it for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I've done some of those confirmation retreats myself.
Oh yeah, but I think that's kind of how you spend time giving back more than anything else. Giving back. Do I dare say, with the 6 of them, the ground that they started on over at St. Matthew's never left those 6 kids. They came home, in the door, homework, and I never saw a word. That was not me. It was not him, who was probably over in Germany. It was the training that they got, and it followed them through high school, and it probably saved a couple of them,
It's awesome.
and all through college. I have never taken any credit for our 6 kids in their successes. Started right over there with the nuns and the teachers.
It's
They
awesome.
cared about those kids so much.
Well, the other thing, Mary, that I was involved with, and it was pretty major, was the building the new
Gathering space.
Gatherings.
building the new gathering space.
Oh,
I was on that committee with Jerry
Hammernick.
Hammernick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Father Bill's time. Yeah.
Yes,
That was
lots
a,
of time.
That was quite the undertaking. And tell you what, right now that is just an awesome area.
That
Always utilized. Always. Every weekend there's something going on in there. Yeah.
Father Bill
Yeah.
being in charge of that, and in his reign there, was one of the reasons he ended up out at North Lake, because they couldn't finish that church.
Yeah, he took that on too.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I asked him, I said, how'd that go? He said, well, my first meeting, they had nine things they were gonna, different plans for building. So he said, my first job was to get it down to 1.
Yeah.
And that's, the archdiocese kind of sent him out there to finish that church.
Yeah.
So that was exciting time for him. I don't
Yeah.
think
We've been there a couple times. They did an awesome job on that building.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
I have a lot of family out there.
Oh yeah. That's a nice
Just-
area.
Just to see it follow. My mom and dad lived out on Beaver.
Okay.
Went from Bayview to Beaver Lake
Sure.
when he retired. So we went number of baptisms and communions at
Yep.
St. Teresa. Yeah,
Mhm.
love that place.
Okay, can you tell me about a time when you were excited about a ministry going on, or conversely, a time when you might have been discouraged about a ministry? Or both?
Yes, I kind of had a falling out, I guess, over there, and which ended up with me switching back to St. Stephen's. And it's a little closer to home, but that's not the issue. There was some friction between myself and the pastor. So
So that's the discouraging part.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What about something that was that you were excited about, a ministry that was going on?
That's a tough question. I would have to go all the way back to the ecumenical council, you know, when that was turning over and we were going back to English and doing all those things. I think obviously that was the highlight of my Catholic life. Other than that, it just, so many things happened so fast that at that time, I mean, little things like turning the altar around and doing those kinds of things. Changing the seating in the church, that was minimal. I mean, that came down. It's just a convenience to move everything. That had nothing to do with religion, I don't think. So I guess that's it for me.
What about you, Eileen?
I think again, bringing people into a faith environment that we loved so much. And you know, I really have to be honest, when I think about teenage years, and we did go together for a number of years. You know, it really wasn't until the involvement that I saw the faith, you know, the deep faith. His family wasn't religious, you know, that he, and working with Father Don and Father Parish, and he just loved, probably would have gone into the seminary, is what Father Ryan told me, if we hadn't gotten married. And that came from, I never saw it when 16, 17, 18, 19 years, you know, those crazy years. So I think that's something that is so awesome over at St. Matthew's, is that you feel it. You feel the people of faith, and it's such a good feeling.
Okay. Well, I think we've kind of skirted around this next one, but I'll ask it anyway. How has the involvement of the laity in the parish changed over the years? You talked about being the first lectors.
Yeah.
What other examples?
Could be a tough one.
It really is. Especially, you know, not being in it anymore, but it seems like after Vatican II, over a long period of time, people started getting more involved. And more people getting involved makes other people involved. So I think that St. Matthew's on the whole is probably as close to being run by the lay people as it is by the diocese. So I think that's kind of the key thing. I enjoyed every person I ever met over there. And God, when was it? Yesterday, day before. Did you see the signs in the front?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Jost. So he rings the doorbell. Hey, Mr. Hobbs, can I put... You know how he is.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about who was standing there. So yeah. I guess I never met a person there I didn't like. And it kind of another thing is, being that church is down to one mass a week now, I would have thought there would have been more people that came to St. Stephen's. Now there's a lot of families that did, but not in huge numbers. I mean, it's 6, 8, 10 families that are over there. Some of the younger ones, some that I know were involved in Mass every time they were there are over St. Stephen's. But I think that speaks to the parish as a group of people rather than a church in this case.
Yeah, we do actually have 2 masses. We have a Saturday and a Sunday.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
All very well attended.
Good.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
good.
yes.
Yeah.
I see when I'm cruising
Parking
around there at
lots.
that time of day on
Yes,
Sundays.
very well attended.
Good. Good. Good.
Do you have any comments about the how the involvement of the laity has changed?
Definitely a growth that started after we were there. You just got involved, and like you said, once somebody is involved, they bring other people in, and the more you got to know people, I think it also probably mattered who was the big one in charge. You know, I would say the principal of the school, who was used to doing everything, you know, and then that kind of turns over and the teachers get more involved and the teachers get aides and,
Yep.
you know, we're all just one big happy family over there with the kids. And I think parish-wise, it's the same thing. Years ago, it was run by 1 or 2, you know, the priest and the assistant priest, and now a lot of the decisions are made by the people who really are church, so, yeah. But it was nice to see it grow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here's a fun question. Who was the most influential person in your faith development at St. Matthew's?
At St. Matthew's.
It could be pastor, a teacher, other adults.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back to Father Don again. He was probably the most forward-thinking of the priests that we had. And he went through that period of Vatican II converting all that over. And he did it very well, and he was very visible. You would drive in there to drop something off and he'd be out in the cemetery walking around. He was always seemed to me to be available. And I really appreciated that. So that's my guy.
Okay, what about you, Eileen?
I think Father Don too. We were very close to Father Don. Also my favorite 8th grade teacher, as far as the school was concerned.
Mr. King?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, John through. And what is so funny is when Beth started there in 1st grade, John was just starting to teach. And he was, you know, collegiate college John, and he happened to be a friend of a cousin of mine. And when I look at that development throughout the years that he had with each and every one of our kids, awesome. Now we have fun with them in Florida, or did.
And one, we ran into him at church.
That's right, that's right.
Went to church and I thought, that's John Kane. And I forget who the other couple was with.
Two other St. Matthew's couples that I'd have to get our books out, which we do very often. Yeah, it was good. It was unfortunate.
What was unfortunate? Father John?
That somebody just had a different feeling about things, and fortunate part about it is that this other parish has a very busy worker over there when he wasn't in the position that he was in this last year. Started in working right away in the kitchen, doing this, doing that, mowing the lawn. Likes the pastor.
Father Bob.
And I can't have something negative in the family.
Yeah.
And I support it.
Yep. I understand.
Well,
It's okay. I understand. Here's another funny one. Are there any pastors or other staff members that you recall having very specific personality traits that stood out?
Father Bill.
Do tell.
Yeah.
Well, he would show up with a foot-deep pile of paperwork at all the parish council meetings, finance committee, whatever committee you were on, he was there. And he had, I swear to God, he knew what was on every page in every one of those books. And you would ask him something, and he was quite the finance guy. And I don't know if a lot of people knew that. But he kept tabs on that whole construction thing, the church. He was just all over it. Very methodical, and he didn't tolerate not having your things in order and having it ready. You know, when he walked in, you sat down and the meeting started, and that was that. So that was my guy.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
he was a well-organized man.
He could run a business.
Yes, he could.
Definitely.
that's something.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
he could.
Yep.
Anybody come to mind for you, Eileen?
You know, there were just so many. Certainly Father Don, Father Bob.
Father Bob.
We had a good relationship with
Mary Alice.
oh gosh, yeah, Alice. What are we? The years of working with Alice.
Alice Hatzenbiller?
Hatzenbiller,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. She was a very strong person for me. I mean, if I needed any kind of help, Alice was there, always. And again, seeing the amount of intelligence the people had over there, how much they did outside of what was required of them, that so many people never knew about. I have to really respect. I wish I could come up with more names. I could sit here for an hour.
Okay.
I wish I could come up with more names.
Can you share with me about a difficult or challenging time in the life of the parish? And how did the parish address it?
Well, probably one of the difficult ones was when we cut out those 2 grades, which left a lot of kids, you know, having to find a 2-year school
Sure.
before they could go to high school. That was kind of traumatic because it brought home to people that we weren't fooling in finance when we said there's no money. So it brought that home, and that was not well received either.
That was hard. Yeah.
People don't know how much you put into making those kinds of decisions, knowing the ramifications that are going to come out of it. So, yeah, that was a tough one. Tearing down the old
I
house.
was just going to say
That wasn't too tough.
Oh my God.
It was falling down by itself.
You know,
I love that place.
I don't remember that building until somebody brings it up. It's like, yeah, that's right.
That was the kids' gym. They go over there and play crab hockey. And
Yeah.
I had so many plays when I went to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many plays in there, and
I could think.
that's where my ma had her first job in a long time doing extended care in the old hall.
Oh,
I remember that.
Dart
Yeah.
ball.
Yeah, yep. Dart ball leagues, absolutely, yeah.
And we haven't talked at all about the time that was put in buying the house.
oh, well,
You and Michael.
yeah. That was a good investment. That was a good deal.
Was that what it was?
Well, yeah, it's extended the campus, north a little bit there. And
Is it still part of the parish?
I think they sold it.
Did they?
and they,
Oh, the two-story right on
Yeah.
the north
On
side?
the
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I think somebody bought that. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's all said and done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Really tough times. I don't know that we had that many tough times that spring to mind like it happened yesterday. Or there were smaller fires to put out, but nothing that I recall. We didn't have any sex scandals going on. We didn't have any of that, So there was kept pretty clean, kept it even keel, and
On the up and up.
yeah, exactly.
Well, there was the money thing.
Oh, that. Well,
Oh,
Don't put any names out there.
no. Okay.
I got out
Yeah.
right before that happened. And I told Mike, I said, Mike, now that I'm leaving and you got somebody new coming in, I would like to have you audit the books the minute I walk out.
Mhm.
So there's no confusion
Oh.
about what's going on
Sure.
here.
Yeah.
And there were small signs of what was happening, but nobody had a clue to the extent that went.
Mm-hmm.
No one.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's, yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Mary.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, wow.
And then
And when you hear the extent of it and how it happened, it seemed like everybody should have known. I should have known. Everybody should have known what was going on. I mean, you have a $10,000 wedding reception. We won't mention names or offices.
no,
Yeah, yeah.
no.
But I'm glad you brought that up. Well, maybe I'm not.
But when you look overall, I mean, there wasn't a lot of difficult times. There were normal,
No, I don't think
the
so.
normal things, I think. But should we have a fish fry or shouldn't we have a fish fry?
Yeah.
Did we get people to work? Just the typical parish type things.
Do you remember the donuts on Sunday? We'd have
No.
donut Sunday.
Yeah.
And we'd be down there at 6 in the morning making donuts and putting them in brown paper bags. And after Mass, there'd be people going out to their cars with this bag of grease, those brown bags, sucked up all the grease out of the donuts, and you had to laugh. You had to be there.
Working in the kitchen
Yeah.
for different things over the years,
Sure.
I think was
Yeah, now there's
some of
another
the best times.
influential person was Edna Bauer.
Oh my God.
That was
Oh,
her kitchen.
Tom's mom. Whoa.
I went in there one day and I told her, I said, Edna, I broke your pickle crock. She said, you better not. Oh, you could set her off in a heartbeat.
And I loved doing it.
You did.
Loved doing it.
She was a sweetie, but
Oh gosh, but she was in charge of that kitchen. But
Yeah.
the years that
Yeah.
followed too, the fish fries and everything else she did over there and those things.
Yeah.
Lining up the Girl Scouts.
this is a good exercise. I like
Yes,
this. Bringing this all back
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Let's see. We've talked about some of these things already. Differences in the parish from pre-Vatican II to post-Vatican II. So you kind of came in, I think, at Vatican II. So I don't know.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Because I was surprised when Father Joe asked me to lecture. I thought, where's this coming from? And I didn't do anything with him, so I don't know how that even happened or how it happened
No,
for Larry.
I'm kind of trying to remember too. I don't know how you got so involved.
The rest is history, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about church buildings a little bit too.
Yes, yes.
What were they like when you first joined, and how have they changed?
Well, there were nuns living in that
Wing.
building,
In the wing.
in the wing in the back.
South wing? Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then to go in there, how far do I go back? 5, 6, 7 years, when we had to rip out all the insulation. Went in there, took the walls down and everything, and I'm thinking, these nuns lived in this little space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They each had their own room, they all had their own bathrooms, and it was, wow, and we're tearing this all out. So that was another, when we started losing the nuns, that really hurt the school program,
Yeah.
because they were not well paid. I mean, you weren't gonna hire anybody at the rate they were being paid to come in as lay people and teach. That wasn't gonna happen, so
Did
that was a
nuns
big blow.
get anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
No idea. How much or whatever.
stipends, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, was there, 3 or 4? I think that's all
It
there was.
varied at different times.
Yes.
Principal too was started out. I think we went through 3 nuns that I remember.
Okay.
They were good influence.
Looking towards the future a little bit. Is there anything what would you like to see remain the same at St. Matthew's, and what would you like to see change? I know you're not there anymore, but I don't know if you can comment on
Well,
that.
Eileen's still there. No, I wish all good things to the parish. I hope they never lose that school. I mean, I think it's such a valuable tool. We had grand plans to continue building into the old church area.
Right.
I don't know where that is. I have no idea, but
It's been shelved.
this is not a good time financially, I don't think. Now, it could happen. We had, at St. Stephen's, we had a man that donated $175,000. Now, I don't have a clue who that was, but unless you get somebody like that to get the ball rolling. I mean, we had a mortgage at St. Stephen's. We wanted to build a bell tower for the bells that were at St. Stephen's. We wanted to put in stained glass windows. Now, when you look at like one of those thermometer things for where the money
Sure.
is,
Yeah.
it wasn't even out of the bottom of the bulb yet, for what was coming in. But after that happened, we paid the mortgage off in about a year after that. So now it's time to revisit things. Carpeting has got to be changed in some of the areas. We do plan on building that bell tower, and we do plan on getting the stained glass windows. So that's happening. So those are all good things. And I would not like to see St. Matthew's, do something major that's going to destroy the history we've been talking about. I mean, I think your core now, I don't know if it's as big as it was when we were there, when I was there. So I don't know how if it's stayed together. I don't have a clue. So I'm not the one to talk to about that.
What about you, Eileen? What would you like to see remain the same, and What would you like to see change?
I don't know if I can really comment. You
Okay.
know,
We resist change at our age.
I was just, well, I think we've been married too long. I was just going to say that at our age,
So the way the things are now, you're pretty well happy and set with that
yeah,
and comfortable with that?
very much so,
Okay.
yeah. I think beyond where you people would be, you know, as long as things are going good.
Yeah, we think they are.
Yeah, we always admired your
We would be-
participation in everything you guys were.
Absolutely.
I mean, you talk about involved, so
But I would echo also about, I hope school never has to close. I think that's one of the
I agree.
most important parts of
Right now, it's doing very well.
Parish.
what is attendance like?
If I remember correctly, I asked that a couple months ago, and I think it was 218. And for the next year out or so, there's a waiting list. So they are doing very well.
Good to
Yeah.
hear that. Good to
And
hear that.
we're actually trying to get our 3-year-old granddaughter on the list.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Like Packer tickets. Sorry,
No, this is better.
this is better. Yeah.
So yeah, they're doing very well at that school. Very well.
I think,
Yeah.
oddly enough, COVID was benefited the school
Yeah, they
because
came over.
they were enrollment increased because people were moving their children out of public schools into St. Matt's where it
Yep.
was in-person learning and not virtual.
Yeah.
They managed it very, very well.
I understand.
And then they stayed.
Yeah.
Once they came,
So
they
that's
stayed.
awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good to hear that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. That is.
They've done well. Do you have anything you want to add before we conclude? Is there something I should have asked that I didn't, or any other memories that you want to share? Or...
So,
They're all little things that make the whole package, you know. There's Father Joe and his cigars while we're trying to count money in the basement. You couldn't breathe in that room.
that was the other thing you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, counting money after Mass.
And who was the Jordan?
Oh my goodness.
I called him Bullet
He lives right
because
next
he'd
door.
shuffle around the floor. Say, hey, Bullet, where you going? You know.
He lives 2 doors down from one of our boys.
Oh,
And
yeah?
who is this?
Nina. Father Jordan,
Father Jordan.
he left the priesthood
Okay.
eventually.
Got married.
Got married. And you don't remember, who was he with? As far, he wasn't pastor, was he?
No. No. It was probably Father Bob in that era when he
No,
left.
or maybe Father Jordan.
That's when all these scandals were breaking.
What's Father Bob's last name?
Oh, God.
It's not sounding familiar to me.
He was a real big, good-looking guy, and he liked to fool around with everybody, and he was quite a presence.
Always had.
And he left and went in the army and became a
Chaplain.
chaplain in the army.
Oh, okay.
So he came over here the last time he was in town, as far as I know. But he was a great guy, and he was one that didn't like solemn masses. You know, he'd say, "Come on, you got to get loose. You got to smile. You got to have a good time. That's why we're here."
Sure.
You know, you don't have to hang your head when you walk by. And he was like I say, he was driving the pastor crazy because he was trying to implement Vatican II, and Father Joe was not hearing anything about that. You know, but eventually, obviously, it all changed. But quite a presence. Quite a presence.
For the main part of our family married life, St. Matthew's was definitely one of those pieces that brought her all together for us.
Nice.
the people that we met, the clergy that we got to know, the teachers. Great influence on us all, I think. It's still, we had just the other day with checking in at the Gables. One of the girls in the office, or the assistant, went to school with Laura.
Okay.
You know, and there you go.
Community.
Community.
Sure.
Community.
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
One of the young boys, young, I'll call them young now, passed away in spring. Oh, and you probably knew him and knew the name. That funeral was unbelievable of the kids that showed up. Laura came up, drove up from Missouri, and it was like homecoming. That's community.
Sure, absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure he went to St. Matthew's,
Mhm.
right? Why can't I think of his last name? Again, that's community for all of us, I think. For the way probably meeting their significant others, as with the Radke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just.
And the funniest thing was after Sunday, the last Mass, everybody, not everybody, but all the guys would jump in their cars and drive over to the tavern on Ryan Road and 15th, I think it was.
Not Meyer's Pub?
Well, it was Meyerings after.
Okay.
It had a name, but that's,
Oh,
you'd see
okay.
more, we laughed, you say, there's more cars in there than was in church.
That's what they call the tabernacle.
Yeah, the tavern.
The tabernacle, yeah.
That was
That
good.
is
Funny.
wonderful. Oh,
Nice.
I've never heard that. That is.
I don't know, my dad may have been there. You never know.
Oh, yeah.
Never
yeah.
know. You know.
Just the relationship of like Beth and Rick with it's the age and everything. Now I can really picture what you're going to. That's super. I had no idea that you've been here forever. You were here
I
before
guess I was
us?
born in a Little Brick Church.
Really?
You weren't born in the church.
Baptized?
Well, baptized, yeah. Well, about 4 weeks after I was born, so pretty
Right.
close, yeah. End of November '61, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And I guess I did not realize that until we did the what was 180th last year or 2 years ago,
Sure.
whatever. It's like, oh, okay, so I guess I was born in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beth
yeah,
was
there we go again,
July.
baptized, yeah.
Beth was July, typically at the Catholic birth.
Yeah.
You know, 10 months after the marriage date. And then Rick came 11 months later, so we had
Boom, boom,
Irish
boom.
Irish
twins
twins.
born,
There you go.
right? Born in the same year.
I was the same month as you, November 24th.
I was 26.
Yeah.
Nice.
My father delivered me.
I think you already did.
Did I say that?
Yeah,
You did,
that's
yeah.
See, that's
That's
senior
okay.
moment.
Yeah, there you go.
could be an interesting story. When is the shut off?
All right, well, that's the last question I had,
Aw.
so, unless you've got anything else, final wrap-up that you want to say?
Well, thank you
I'm
for
gonna
doing
shut
this.
it off. Well, thank you for agreeing to meet with me, I appreciate it.
You guys did a great job.
It really
Awesome.
has been fun.
Dug up some good memories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good,
Stuff
All
I never
right.
heard of.
shut her off.
Lots and lots of
Hit the button.
people.